All right, we are live. I'll wait about a few seconds just to get the link out there, and then we will kick this off. Where are you? Where are you right now, actually?
I'm in the Netherlands.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Cool. All right, well, we may as well just get this show started. So everybody, welcome to another live event inside the Terra Virtual Art Gallery. Today's special guest is Sevdaliza, who is just an amazing, amazing music artist. So we have a very exciting event for you today. So Sevdaliza, welcome with us. I guess a great way to start this off is just to tell our community, and of course, I'm sure you have some fans tuning in, but perhaps for those that might be first getting introduced to you, maybe tell the community a little bit about yourself, and we can get into some specific questions about your career and rise into the music space as well.
Yeah. So basically, I'm a musician, producer, composer, and visual artist, and I started working towards the development of Sevdaliza about 8 years ago. I think I discovered at an early age that music was a part of my daily life, but I never really had the opportunity and courage to step out of my comfort zone and really take a leap of faith. And so I started to work on music about 8 years ago. And
Cool.
From there on, I developed into whatever the world, the Sevdaliza world that is out there today. Yeah.
Awesome. So I know that you were from Iranian descent, and this was a question I always wanted to ask you. How does that culture really come into play into your music style? And of course, as we'll see here today, perhaps some art influences.
Well, I guess that it informs you in subconscious ways, because I never deliberately decided to inform my work with my Iranian heritage, except for a few exceptions. For instance, I recorded a Persian song called Bebin, and then I did another cover on my latest album of Gugush's Golebi Goldun.
Mm-hmm.
But the subconscious part mostly resides in songwriting. I have had this natural drive towards poetic lyricism and philosophical writing, almost existential. And I think that is something that is really informed by my heritage. There's so many existential writers from Iran and poets as well. So I think that is one part. And the other part is my natural preference for melodies.
As you can see, I'm a music producer on the side, and for all musicians out there, this is my practice keyboard, so don't judge me. But that's awesome. I mean, I definitely can vibe with you on that as a musician myself. But another question is, you weren't always into music your whole life. I know I do have a fun fact about you, that you were a basketball player. And I'd love to hear about some of your early days just prior to music, before your transition, so we can really get to know you on some of your early days as well.
Yeah, well, I guess that I was going into a route that was more academic. So I was studying in university, and alongside of that, I was playing professional basketball. And so from there on, at a pretty early age, I realized that was not really my path. But that kind of had to grow within me. So first I took an academic route, and then I realized that was not my purpose in life.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's really cool. And I think, one thing that when I listen to your music that's inspiring, you have a wonderful voice. And at what age did you start doing vocal training, or starting to discover hey, I have a very strong, beautiful, powerful voice? I'd love to see, the growth of that. When did that start? When did that come into play into your career? And I think, how did that more so transpire into the very unique style of the cinematic, what I call with cinematic music anyway, today?
I never had vocal training, and I never
Wow.
I never sang actually before I started to make music.
Mhm.
Um, I think what I felt in music, it was like an omni product. So I never really saw myself as a singer. I saw myself as a musician, and I knew that um, being a musician means to have several components within your skills, and one of them is composer, one of them is arranger, one of them is producer, because I feel like the kind of music that I make, the more I execute it, the more it stays true to what I want to do.
Mhm.
Uh, and singing was just an element within that. So it wasn't necessarily, I wasn't training necessarily to be a vocalist, but as long as you keep making those hours and putting in those hours,
Yeah.
you grow and you get better. And of course, I did a lot of online research. The internet definitely supported my autodidact journey. But no, I was never vocally trained.
Wow.
I
That's very
basically found
impressive.
my voice.
That's impressive. No, that's impressive. I grew up with a bunch of singers around me, and they all did training and fine tune. So that's just even more magnificent that the way your music comes out with it's just wow. I'm really floored. Don't mind my stuttering. It's really impressive. And I think, musicians out there can really understand that, like, without vocal training, that raw talent, that raw voice is very beautiful. So awesome. Well, appreciate a little bit of the background. Obviously we're here today to go through some special pieces for you. So I think this would be a perfect time to transition and perhaps start talking about those pieces. So Jen,
Yes.
if you wouldn't mind just pulling up the first piece for us. Now this piece is actually pronounced Majora, I believe, but I'd love to give you the floor and have you speak a little bit about this piece, maybe some inspiration for it.
Well, this piece is basically it's a soothsayer that I created with Hirat Saab, the artist working on the visuals of this NFT auction. And Majora is a soothsayer. She's kind of like the wise woman in all of us, and she's here to guide you, to be the voice of reason. And I wanted to um, explain that in a narrative that kind of shows also a little bit of my heritage.
Mhm.
Um, and the music is composed and produced by myself.
Now that's cool. Now just curious, what DAW do you use to produce music in?
Ableton.
Ableton. Likewise, myself. Ableton is the best. Ableton gang in here today. So no, this is awesome, and I think for me, art is always subjective. People can really take away what they want from art and view this and the emotion. I mean, when I look at this, there's just a ton of emotion into this, and and I appreciate you taking me going through the inspiration for it, and it's always intriguing to see how collectors and how people view this art. Is there any particular, Jen, we had some music behind it. I don't know if you want to play that one more time, but when you're producing a short instrumental behind this, it seems to fit the art very well, very mystical, very cinematic. Is that done on purpose, or how does that process work for you when you're producing and trying to find like a parallel with the emotions to create visuals either through music or create, more parallel visual for the art itself? Kind of a heavy question. I'm sorry.
Oh, that's fine. Well, what I often do is I see visuals and music go hand in hand. So for me, they're just one multiverse piece. And well, Majora, the first time I came up with the idea of Majora was a few years ago, and we developed an actual soothsayer in 3D Engine with Hirad. And so basically all of the music that came out of that period is really reflecting the frequencies of what I felt when I was looking for the wise woman within us. And so what I did was actually I went into my older projects and I pulled up one of the projects out of the Majora days, and which wasn't used, and I started working on it. So the music that you hear in the background was actually made in the intrinsic moment that Majora was born. So I think that the energy matches naturally because it was made naturally.
That's awesome. That's really good to hear. Now, I know you mentioned Harad, who has worked with you and collaborated with you as the artist with this. I'd love for you to tell us in the community a little bit more about the artist and perhaps, maybe how that relationship formed and how you came up with the ideas to start this collaboration.
Well, Hirad and I have known each other for, I think, about 6 years now. And we basically met because we had mutual ground in interests in multi-dimensional art, and also because of our heritage, because Hirad is of Iranian descent as well. And we basically, we just started to work with one piece of music, and we started to work with one project. And then at some point, after the project was done, we both realized that our collaboration wasn't done. So we kind of kept finding each other back and forth over periods of time. And he's an incredible artist. He's also like incredibly intelligent, futuristic. He foresees different trends and not only brings them into his art, but also into his persona. So he's incredibly interesting to philosophize about technology and about all of the developments within our online space over the past few years, because we've rapidly improved. There's like so much going on. And so I think it was like we found each other in a common ground, and our work complements each other because he's definitely very, very evolved and enhanced in his line of work. And so I was basically always guiding and explaining the narrative from the musical side of things, and he was informing me with how the visual translation came back onto him and how he would translate that. And so I think that it was a very cohesive collaboration, and I think it was just a natural process. It wasn't forced.
I think that phrase is really what determines quality art, at least in my eyes. When I think about collaborations, whether it's artist to artist or music artist to artist, it's just when you have that vibe and you have that natural energy where you're just getting along, you have the same ideas, same wavelength, it just works, right? And I think it really showcases in the underlying art piece, like Majora here as well. So that's really cool to hear, and I like hearing stuff like that. Cool. I don't want to take too much time on one piece. We got a few more to go through, so let's go ahead and jump into the next one. Jen, if you wouldn't mind just grabbing that. Give us a second.
It is coming, I promise. Just whilst I skip ahead, there was a question from someone in the community. I've put it up on the screen, but it's, will there be music NFTs? That would be awesome. So I don't know if before we go on to Children of Silk, if you wanted to, talk about that maybe.
Sorry, I didn't hear the question because the music came.
Oh, that's okay. I got it. So the question from Braylon's dad was, will these be music NFTs? That would be awesome. So I'm actually very curious on how you approach this question as well. I know what I think the answer is, but I'll let you take that.
Can you repeat the question one more time?
Sure, yeah, absolutely. Can you can hear me okay?
Yes.
So the question from Braylon's dad was, will these be music NFTs? That would be awesome.
Okay. Well, I think that there is a very bright future in the NFT space, and that's why we are collaborating with Terra, because you see the long development of future possibilities for NFTs. And I agree with this. Otherwise, I wouldn't, be a part of this. And there are so many possibilities. So I think this is just a good way to introduce myself into the space and also introduce my work. And from there on, yeah, definitely open for a lot of possibilities.
Great answer. Good answer. So for those, we just pulled up another piece right now, and this one is titled Children of Silk. I'm sorry, not the Silk, Children of Silk. So again, I'd love for you to go through this piece. This one is incredibly unique to me. This looks like, again, it is just full of a bunch of emotion and meaning. And I'd love to hear, what this piece means to you, and perhaps the inspiration and some of the creativity that went into developing this.
Yes, so basically what you see in this gallery of NFTs is kind of a showcase of highlights of my work in the past couple of years. And so this NFT is based upon the cover of my EP, Children of Silk, an EP that was released a couple of years ago. And the ideology behind this piece was for me to visualize the beauty of androgyny and of gender fluidity. And I remember that, I feel like now that is a way more accepted topic and narrative. But I as I can remember, well, I think I first came up with the idea of this particular artwork in 2014. Oh, and wow. I remember it was a topic that in my environment was not really touched upon. And I kind of reflected my own androgyny and fluidity into it. And I asked Hirad to visualize this energy, and the flowers are also made of the same skin texture of the skin, and there's a lot of personal emotion in this piece as well.
Yeah, I can definitely see that, and this looks like a very delicate piece to make. And I think, even from an artist's perspective, in particular, even this one, are these pieces where you work with Hirad and try to visualize the ideas, and he comes up with a concept and you're making edits to this, or is this something where you guys are really on the same wavelength, trying to communicate what you want to visualize here, and this was the final product? I'm curious to see how you and your involvement in this and the creativity of it. Was there any type of changes or edits or anything, or was this something that really stood as a strong visual for you for about 7 years, since you said 2014, right?
Yes. So this is definitely this particular, all of them. They are not. They are basically built upon, developed further on the original pieces. So they are unique pieces, and the concept of it was based upon and highlight in my career, but the actual piece that we started with looks very different from this one. And I think that what I really like to showcase is the timelessness of these concepts and these pieces for myself, because I started this with Hirad about 6 years ago, and it's still to this day very accurate to me. And I also do this within my music. I can pull up a project that was made about 6 years ago and give it a new spin today, and it will just work. Sometimes time gives us so much insight, and we are not always able to see the things we need to see when we are rushing. So this piece definitely is developed further upon our first initial piece.
And I think that's cool. Again, 7 years, an idea that you've held inside for so long that you're finally able to visualize. I think it's super cool, and I agree with you. open communication on a lot of things, you know, in 2021 is much easier than it was even just a few years ago as well. And I think it's really awesome that you're able to work with Rod and being able to showcase these feelings, these emotions, these beliefs inside an art piece, right? And, you know, for those that might not have caught it, this one also does have a musical background to it as well. You know, we had to keep it low so that we could continue the conversation with Sevda here, but just an excellent job, just a phenomenal piece. And it's, you know, one thing that really stands out for me, it's just very modern looking. And it looks like a piece, like I said, that has full emotion that doesn't seem to age. And I can personally just, you know, not to be selfish, I personally enjoy pieces like this the best. You know, ones that carry a lot of emotion, ones that seem timeless. And I think being able to communicate with the artist and the music artist collaboration here just gives it even more value, because you're actually understanding the piece and the background of it and the meaning and how valuable it is to you for years at a time. So appreciate you walking us through that. Jen, why don't we go ahead and bring up another one right now, if you wouldn't mind, please.
Yeah, no problems.
Okay, this one I know there's a story behind this one. So I believe this one is Marilyn Monroe, if I'm not mistaken, Sevda?
Yes.
Cool. Yeah. So you know, same process. Again, you know, I'm on the edge of my seat. Talk to me about this one. There's a lot happening here, and I need to know the you know, full inspiration and you know, all the creativity story that went into creating this, because I know there's a meaning to this.
Yes. So the Marilyn Monroe NFT auction piece is based upon the woman that is kind of transforming into a cyborg or into somewhere in between the sphere of human and not human. There's an element of wanting to have full control over the self. As women in society, I feel like we are much more convicted to these questions than any other. And what I wanted to showcase with this Marilyn Monroe piece is how this desire of full control can also cage us and imprison us within ourselves.
Wow, very, very, very heavy, and I think that's cool, and I'm starting to really pick up on a lot of your beliefs and things, you know, in society today, and how that inspiration really carries over into art, and that's really awesome. You know, I think, you know, as an influencer, as a music artist, you know, someone who tours, there's a lot of people that are paying attention to what you're saying, what you're trying to convey, and I think we need more of this positivity, right? You know, we've talked about culture, we've talked about women, and it's really nice to actually see this come out in art pieces as NFTs, because you're just conveying the right message on what really things the way society really should be, right? You know, I agree with you that there are some social norms that are just very tough to deal with, but it's really cool, and I respect you a lot for really speaking about that and trying to make a difference through that influence, and then also finding some kind of way to visually convey that into these art pieces. It's, you know, it's also really impressive with Harad being able to pick up on a lot of these ideas and just hit a home run on all these pieces. So super cool. I know, Jen, I know we do have another one to go through. This one I've been waiting on, and I think we're looking for, don't want to give it away. So this one is called Human Nature.
Yes.
I don't want to, I'll let you speak on it. I know this one has much longer audio to it. This, again, also has deep meaning to it. Jen, if you wanted to play, I know we do have not only some instrumental, we do have some vocals in this from Sevdaliza here. I believe they are near the mid to half point around there and then go on towards the end. But, Sevda, please, floor is yours to speak about this one.
Do you want to play it in full first? Then everyone can see.
Sure.
Yeah, let's put it out.
That's not for humans.
Incredible. I have a bunch of questions for you, but yeah, a whole bunch here. It's just mesmerizing, and I'll get on that for a second. I just feel like I'm lost in a trance when I'm looking at this piece and listening to the instrumental as well as your vocals on top of this. But please, take us through this piece. I need to know, this was the one I've been personally waiting on to hear from you about. Just for those also on the Terra virtual platform, this will be an auction item. This is a special one-of-one item. Has I don't want to give it away, custom instrumental and vocals on this from Sevdaliza. So this is extraordinarily special. But before I give anything away and start talking too much, please, would love for you to walk through this piece and give us an understanding on how you feel this piece is attached to you and the emotions behind it.
For me, this is a incredibly mystical piece, and there is a big story behind it, which I don't necessarily want to completely share, because I really like the fact that it conveys so many different emotions on so many different people. What I do want to say is that there is a level of makeability, so that's why you're kind of waiting for it to show itself. You're waiting for the moment for something to happen, right? There's this trance, the fact that the eyes are closed, it pulls you in. And I think that this piece is part of a bigger narrative that I'm currently personally involved in, which I cannot unfortunately tell too much about yet. But I do think that this is, for me, one of the most special pieces, because there's just so much sensitivity to it, especially because there is not a lot happening, but at the same time, there is so much happening. And I also really like the fact that this one particularly, the other three are slightly more figurative, and this piece is more like a trance, like a meditation for me. So I would really love for the people that experience it to also experience it like a meditation, like a trance, like what you just mentioned yourself. Yeah.
Absolutely, and I see a bunch of comments coming up where a lot of people, it takes me to another world. It's, again, trance is a popular word that it takes you into, and I think this is more like a musician to musician question, and maybe for some of the fans out there to understand it. How do you constantly find the motivation and inspiration to not only produce and write music like this? To me, I wish the world could understand how difficult it is to do what you're doing, and creating this cinematic feel, the whole meditation and just deep emotion vibe that it's almost every single track you get it right. And again, I'm sure the fans would love to know this. How do you find it deep in yourself to just constantly really nail that emotion every single time? And is it knowing music theory? Is it just, how you feel that day and you're letting those emotions out, sonically? I'm just curious how it's just, the music is so unique, and I'm just really trying to dig down deep to see how you constantly keep doing that.
Well, I guess that there's a lot of elements that come into play to answer this question, and I think it's a matter of nature nurture. So part of it is in my nature, part of it is in my genes, and a lot of it is nurture. I had to put in a lot of hours. I still have to put in a lot of hours to bring that forth. You optimize your way of working, you develop different skills. Also time. I think time is very interesting if you want to touch that place with your music. For instance, I personally don't create formula music, so my best friend is time, and time buys me the truth. If I'm being honest with myself in this piece of music, I will still like it in a year. And if I'm not, it will never pass through the gates of Spotify. So basically, that is about, like in a nutshell, that is about how I think I get to that point every time again. It's definitely not easy, and it's definitely not always, but the saying, you just go in and put in the work, is really what it is.
That's super cool. And I wanted to rewind a bit on human nature. I know you said that there was a narrative, and I might put you on the spot here and say, will we ever truly find out what that narrative is? Or is that something that's going to be locked secret and let everyone have this art subjective to their own thoughts?
No, I actually think that the person that will own this piece will be surprised, because the narrative will unveil itself in the coming few months, and they will be surprised to learn
big secrets going down.
Yes, it's a very big secret.
Big secrets going down. Well, I mean, that's great. I know I've asked you a lot of questions about music. Obviously, Harad, the art is beautiful. How has it been, your journey so far into NFTs, and, your exploration of the general blockchain space as a whole? I'm curious, and perhaps I know some fans out there that might not be familiar with NFTs, or some people might be just starting to learn what NFTs are, and the advantageous nature of owning digital collectibles. Just in your personal opinion, how has it been in your experience learning about them, getting into the market, looking around the markets, and just constantly growing your education on the space?
Well, I think it's just an incredible opportunity for an independent artist like myself to kind of dig deep into a narrative that is part of the ownership economy that we are currently entering. I am a fully independent artist, so for me, all of these opportunities to connect with the people that support my work, and also different ways to showcase my work, they challenge me as an artist to think creatively about what I do. So for me, diving into the NFT space is just like another form of expressing myself, and the technology that comes with it, the possibilities, the way that you can interpret NFTs, and also there's a lot of people with a lot of knowledge right now that can also help you navigate, what can you do with your work. So it has been very interesting to dive into the space.
Absolutely. Yeah. And that's a great answer. And, again, another pressure question is, as you continue on into this space and you've done collaborations, obviously with Terra, the artist, do you have any potential future plans to continue doing some other things in the NFT space? Or is this also something that's super secret that we can't talk about right now?
No, absolutely. I definitely have some plans going forward into the space.
Cool. Well, that's good to hear. Welcome, and we hope you stick around and stay a while. It's always nice to see, especially music artists. A lot of music artists came in, have done some questionable things, but this is just one of the most beautiful collabs that I've personally seen. On camera, I can't lie. So, it's really great. It's quite soothing. I'm just a fan of your music in general. It is beautiful. And I do wish you, the best in your career moving forward. So at this point, I think it would be really awesome to perhaps, Jen, see if we have any questions from the community for Sevda. And then I know we do have something to talk about a giveaway, which we can save to the end for some information on that. But for the community out there, Twitch, YouTube, wherever you are, if you had a question for Sevdaliza, go ahead and type it. Okay, cool. We have our first one right now. So forgive me if I chop this name, Salomona, but it is, why did you choose Terra Virtual Platform for your first NFT drop? Could you talk a little bit about it?
Yes. So Terra Virtua is basically a platform that envisions the future of NFTs in a different way than other platforms. As I have understood, there is a whole ideology about NFTs being the new type of form of merchandise, besides one-piece auctioning. And I think that is something that is really interesting to me. And of course, besides that, I think there was a creative click. We both envisioned the first auction and also the way that it was auctioned in a similar way. And I believe in collaborating with partners where you can see and build a future with. So basically that is about it. Yeah.
So what you just told me is that we're eventually going to collaborate in Ableton on a track together, right?
Well, that could be an NFT.
it could be, right? I was always thinking about it myself. I actually do a lot of cinematic work and cinematic type tracks, and I never really fit in anywhere because I don't necessarily do like house or hip hop or something basic. So this is why I'm just so intrigued by your music career as well. And my fiance absolutely loves your music too. She really loves that style. So another question is, which are the programs you used for the CGI? And thanks for sharing your art. And this question is from, I'm just going to say Giz MBS.
So I don't want to speak for Hirad because I know that he's a super geek and he has used a lot of different programs for all of the NFTs. So I think that for instance, what I remember recalling was for the human nature piece, we spent so much time on perfecting the skin texture. And I believe that he used a specific engine for it because it was not possible in the engine that he used to work in. So I have no clue if I can name them all, but I know that the process was very, very intense and also time consuming, definitely. Skin texture, water, all of these elements are incredibly hard to nail in CGI, and I think that the skin, just the way that it moves and the texture of it and the pores and everything, and he spent a lot of hours on that. So
awesome. Yeah, and I think artists are always delicate and perhaps answering these questions and not giving away all of their secrets. But yeah, would be cool to see what Hirad says about that. Maybe you can post a tweet or something. But cool. So another question actually from the community is, what tips can you give to artists wanting to break into the NFT space?
I think that with anything you do as a creative, you should really be involved personally and like it. If it's not coming from the heart, and if you're really not interested in it, it's not going to work.
Agreed.
So, yeah.
Agreed. And we just have a quick random question really quick. Will you perform in Istanbul? Sorry, chop that.
As soon as COVID is over.
I could sense some frustration in your voice with that.
Yeah, we went from touring worldwide to not touring at all.
Well, I think, the positive about it is, it might have perhaps pushed or inspired you to move into the digital space a little bit quicker. I think, from movie production, TV production, music production, everything, I think it's really, fast-tracked exploration into the digital space and how it could really help connect with fans, even more so than regular social media accounts. So, question from Samuel. How long have you been working on this? It's a good question.
Well, I think that a lot of these concepts have been laying around for years. So I didn't spend years on them, but definitely months. Yeah.
Definitely seems like that too. Being in the space, I'm able to connect with artists and really talk to a lot of people, both on the music and the actual digital creation side. And yeah, I'm not shocked anymore when you say it takes months. Understanding the process, like you said, you talked about the tones and textures of these actual pieces. Mind you, the actual production that you've done on it, and the vocals that you put on it, the mixing, people. I'm not even going to get into to mixing here and making things, making sure everything's crisp. It's a very delicate and time-consuming process. So, cool. So, Solomon, but you've done amazing virtual concerts, which is exciting. Are you going to do it again?
It's a big secret.
Oh, there's too many secrets here. There's too many secrets. I don't know. I'm gonna have to keep pressuring you with these questions to kind of flip and give the community some answers. We want answers. This is a really good question. So, what was your favorite music artist growing up, and was it them who inspired you?
Oh, I've had so many artists, eras actually. So it depends on what era. Like, I think I changed every 2 years or every year. Style, genre. I've been through so many different artists. Yeah. So I can't name one because I feel like the other ones will feel left out.
That's a very, very wise way to answer that question. As a music artist, I remember coming into this, I was like, should I ask her what's in her headphones after the studio? But I won't ask you that because I know it's always a delicate question to answer. So, well, cool. Let's see if we have guys in the community. Last call for questions. Anything that you want to ask for Sevda here, go ahead and type. We'll see if we can maybe squeeze in one or two more. They're really coming after you with this. Who is your favorite artist right at the moment?
At the moment, I think it's not my favorite artist, but an artist that I'm listening to a lot is Nicolas Jaar from Barcelona. Yeah.
Fair. Okay. And I think I have a last one for you as well. And you don't have to answer if you don't want to. It's out of all the pieces that you're releasing of these NFTs on Terra Virtua here, do you have a particular favorite out of all of them?
I think Human Nature is my favorite piece, the one that you see on the screen. Yeah.
I had a feeling. I'm a little biased towards that one as well. I'm not going to lie. I was waiting the whole show to talk to you about it. So, all right, I'm going to take one last question, guys. So this is from Ed Black. What inspires you to write these amazing songs?
I think that it's intuition and digging deep within yourself. So I draw a lot of inspiration from my own feelings and own world experience of the world. I feel like there is a difference between extrovert songwriting and introvert songwriting. And I think that I've gotten to know a lot of songwriters who need to be surrounded by things and able to write. And I'm kind of experiencing so much within myself that all of those experiences happen to be enough to write about. Yeah. So I would call it like introverted songwriting.
Great question. I mean, great answer. Excuse me. Great. Okay, cool. So before we wrap up, I know you and your team and us, we've talked about doing a little bit of a giveaway for Majora. I think everybody here and your fans, of course, should be paying attention to social media. Wink, wink, wink about this giveaway. Did you want to give any information about this particular giveaway now, or did you want to just make sure everyone stays in tune for socials and perhaps to see how to win a free special NFT of very high quality and very high value? So you'd want to pay attention to this.
So I can announce a little bit. We are giving away 10 special NFT pieces surrounding the piece of Marilyn Monroe. And we're doing this in the coming few days. So keep the socials in check if you want to be able to win an NFT from me.
Cool. And and for those that have just been introduced to you, perhaps, some of our fans in the blockchain space, just learning about you and your career and your entrance into the space, what would be the best social media platform for them to follow you on? And if you just want to drop the is it just @Sevdaliza on all platforms?
Yes. No, not on all platforms. I would say Instagram and Twitter. On Twitter, it's @Sevdaliza, and on Instagram, it's @Sevdaliza_.
Awesome. You heard that, community. Go give her a follow. Go check out some of her music. Stay in tune to these socials for this giveaway. These pieces are going live in about 12 to 15 minutes from now, so you're going to want to check those out. But other than that, Sevda, obviously, we've spoken before. It's always a pleasure having you come on and answering all my questions. I hope I wasn't too tough on digging deep there. So, okay, cool. Here we go. So be sure to register at www.terravirtua.io @Sevdaliza. NFTs will drop on Marketplace right after this live event. So for those just listening in right now, and there is the Twitter and Instagram handles for Sevdaliza. Go follow her, guys. Go check out her music. Follow her on Spotify, Apple Music. It's definitely something that I think a lot of people here can enjoy. So if you're not familiar with this music artist here today, you will be. So go check her out and keep an eye out for the art coming momentarily. And don't miss those giveaways on our socials. So Sevda, again, thank you so much for coming in, joining us and chatting about your art, your music, and all the other weird questions that I had you answer for me today. So I really appreciate it. And I wish you nothing but the best in continuing your music career and your newfound NFT career.
Thank you so much. Thank you all for joining us. And
absolutely. Thanks to the community. Thanks, guys. All right. Take care. Bye now.